We are one. Everything that you think everything is going on internally. Everything. There's nothing you can tell me that you know of that's happening outside of you. I know it looks like there is an outside, and there is an outside, of course, because you walk in amongst it. But from your internal viewpoint of reality, there's just this one moment. This one moment. So all of the things you're afraid of don't actually exist, because there's only this one moment ever. This is the only thing that's ever happening. So if you bring your attention to where you're actually happening, you realize that everything's actually okay. I've got enough food in my body, and I've got enough water in my body, and I've got enough air to breathe right now. Now you could say, well, that's shirking responsibility, but no, we know how to deal with anything that comes at us. There's nothing wrong with learning at the educational level, which is the mental level, but where we've got to start operating from is at the heart level. You see, when we as human beings look at each other from the heart, we will see the same thing. We come in to experience separation. Remember what I said? So for separation to be experienced 100% real, we have to be all different. We have to have different skin colors, different political ideals, different software tribal understandings and values to make the whole thing look as real as it is. And then we play it out. But if we keep looking from this narrative, then all we see is what we have been told life is. Now, when we meditate, when we pull ourselves to the moment, and especially when we do it collectively like this, it pulls our center to the heart, and we get to see the authentic reality in front of us, which is that life force is me. I am life force. Therefore, anything that is showing up as a life force in front of me is me. I am the life force that I experience in front of me and within me. And when I look from the heart, I automatically look from love. Like last night, I had a conversation with a close friend of mine and did a little bit of what I would imagine as channeling, because information came through me that I wasn't aware of before I said it. And one of the things that I said was that what we need to do is at the beginning of every communication with everyone, connect at the heart center. So have the courage to say, when you start a meeting, say to your partner or the person you're having the meeting with, do you mind if we just connect heart to heart first? Not physically, just from an emotional point, where imagining that there's light coming from our heart center to their heart center and vice versa. So now this changes our entire field, because we are intending from the word go to operate with a foundation of love, and it will change the energy of everything. And that's why we're here. We're here to learn to love each other. We've never done it yet. We've been taught, the program tells us that we have to be afraid of each other all the time. Right now, that's exactly, you see, the virus, if we look at the collective consciousness, the one consciousness that is humanity right now, okay? Everything that happens within humanity is part of what we would say is the one consciousness, right? Everything that happens within the one consciousness that is the human race must be how the one consciousness sees itself at this particular time. Now, when we enlighten individually, what we do is we bring unconscious material up to the conscious mind so that we can then heal it with love. That's what we do. As we spiritually and personally develop ourselves, we bring unconscious material forward to the conscious mind, right? Now that's what we've done as a collective race. We are about to wake up. Why do I know that? Because I know that now, for the first time in our history, we are looking consciously at the virus that's always been there, the virus that's always been in the collective unconscious that separates us from each other, that has us believing we need to be afraid of each other, has now brought to consciousness. It doesn't matter where it started from, really. Essentially, from the spiritual point of view, it doesn't matter whether it's a fake virus or whether it's a real virus or whether it was man-made or from bats or from China or America or whatever. It doesn't matter. The fact is that consciously, as a race of humans, we've brought the virus conscious. Now, if we keep looking from the place that tells us that we're separate from each other, which is here. If we keep looking at the narrative on the TV, we're always fighting. Everywhere we look, we're fighting, right? That's what we keep seeing. We've got to drop that narrative. We really have to. And we have to come to our heart place and start realizing that this is the beginning of a new level of consciousness, because we've connected. Also, here's the other thing: for the first time in human history, because the entire planet is looking at the same thing at the same time, we are connected as one race. We just can't see it because we're still looking from the place where everything fights itself. The political mind of every one of us, it's separate, it's this or it's that, is the exact reflection of that is the political governance that we have ruling us. But every person in the play, whether they're playing the evil part or the light part, the dark or the light, every person is necessary for our awakening, everyone, because this won't stop now. We've connected and we're about to enlighten. We really are about to enlighten. We're about to consciously work on enlightening. That's what's happening. This is really great news. That's not what the narrative tells us, but we've got to do the internal work of empowering our own individual self with light and love, so we feel great before we can do it collectively. Do you understand that? So if I just say to the world right now, if I had the ability to address the entire planet right now, and I said, look guys, you've just got to love each other, it's not going to work, because individually we've got so much stuff going on inside, so we can't follow that straight away. So that's why healing ourselves is absolutely imperative. And that's what this work is doing every week. We're healing, we're bringing in light. And because we do it collectively and at the same time, it becomes incredibly powerful, and a lot of energy comes in. There are massive downloads of energy that come in to these weekly meetings. Massive. That's what's happening. So, you know, every frequency of reality is going on all at the same time. We just get to experience a third dimensional frequency because we want to experience separation, right? But all of the frequencies exist right here and now. So all we're essentially doing when we do work like this is we're opening ourselves to higher frequencies that are closer to love. One of them is my healing system, Merlin Trinity Healing System, but there are many, many different ways of bringing this light in. And it doesn't matter which way you use, but you do need to bring light into your system, which means you need to become conscious. You need to work on healing yourself, because look, if you feel good and love is in your reality, you'll get to experience that externally. Right? If you are working on loving self so that your experience of life is high vibrational, then your experience outside will only it'll have no other option than to follow you. We're in an illusion thinking that the material world affects our world, not realizing that we are the cause of the material world. But because we all follow the same story that the TV tells us over and over and over again, we believe in limitation. We actually believe that we need money to survive. Now, right now, don't think you can't go out there and say you don't need money anymore, because right now we believe it wholeheartedly. So that's the truth. But think about it: a race of humans where they have something that they sell to each other to survive. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's immature. If we were to look at our general race of consciousness right now, it's working from a very immature place, because we kill each other, we lie to each other, we have hate, jealousy, we manipulate. You know, there's so much evil on the planet. There's lots of good as well, don't get me wrong, but that our race suffers so much that children die. Please, for God's sake, that happens on our race. It's immature, right? I'm not blaming, because we're all experiencing the level of consciousness that we're currently at, right? But it's immature, and we're at a precipice. This is the point in time where we're going to mature ourselves as a race and start looking at how can we, as a race of humans, help each other. Imagine businesses that exist for the good of humanity. And imagine if every business on the planet existed for the good of humanity, where all we ever did was what we love to do so that we could help humanity. We wouldn't need money then. We don't need money to help each other. We really don't need money. Those of you that are asking, why do light, so somebody's just asked this question, why do light and dark exist? What's the purpose of this creation? Well, I've just gone through that. We're here to experience separation. We come here to have the experience of being separate from each other. And that's why it's finite, so that we go back to who we are. We come here to understand what a separate reality is like. And for separation to exist, there has to be dark and light. That is the separation. And there are people here that are playing the dark side, and there are people here playing the light side. But you signed up for this before you came. But we forget it purposefully, otherwise it wouldn't be a real experience. We need it to be as real as we possibly can have, right? So that's why it all plays out as it's playing out. But the elephant in the room opportunity, it really is a massive opportunity, is that we, for the first time ever, make a conscious decision collectively to help each other, to love each other, to drop the walls of separation that the mind gives us. It's this thing that tells us those are wrong and we are right, and I'm right, they're wrong, they're right, I'm wrong. It's this thing. When we operate from our heart, eventually we'll get to a place where we're helping each other. So these healings that we're doing, we're dropping in a lot of energy. There's a download of energy. We're essentially coming together and collectively combining with each other at the same point in time, right? So I'm going to guide you so that we all stay at the same point in time. Okay, because when we stay together at the same point in time, what happens is that we create a very powerful vortex to bring in light if the intention is right. And it is my intention, and I'm sure it's your intention, which is why you're here, to help each other right now. I'm going to show you as we meditate how we're going to help each other to empower each other. So I'm going to go into the meditation right now, and I'm going to play some. How do we make the dark energy stop? Well, think about this. If you have a light room, what happens when the darkness walks into the right light room? The light becomes the light, right? If you shine light onto darkness, it's no longer dark. That's the answer. And that's the answer to everything. We put light onto darkness. See, what happens when darkness tries to attack light? Darkness will empower the light, because the light will embrace the darkness and become bigger because of it. Will become more powerful. So our force, our love internally is light. That's what we know as of light. So the more we empower ourselves with love, the more the darkness is embraced by the love. And that happens individually first, and then it happens collectively. But we've got to do the individual work first. We've got to empower ourselves with light first before we can do it collectively, right? So what was the question again? How do we make the dark energy stop? By empowering self, by bringing more love into self. You know, the easiest way to do that is to ask the question daily, and as often as you can, if I was the force of love right now, if I was a representation of love right now, what would I do? If I was thinking as a force of love right now, what would I think? If I was going to take an action as the force of love right now, what action would I take? And who can I help? Because every time I do that, every single time, I feel better, right? I'm putting light into my body better. Right? I'm making my life better. So I'm enlightening myself by helping other people, by helping my world, by representing the force of love. And of course, my focus then goes to what is love inside of me. So life gets better, right? Mark, can you please brief me about the healing modality we have been attuned to? So the Merlin Trinity Healing System is a system that came to me about over 20 years ago, and I tried to push it away many times. and but it didn't. I couldn't get rid of it. So I won't bore you with how that happened, but it's a very powerful modality. It's similar to other modalities, like it's a hands-on healing technique. So you literally put your hands on. It seems to be, my feeling is that it's here to help us transform. It's to help us transform negative patterns. That's what's happened to me with continuous use. It's really changed negative dynamics within me, or imbalanced dynamics within me. It's brought tremendous awareness and enlightenment to me. So it's a powerful force for good. I'm not saying anything against any of the other modalities, really. Any modality that we use that empowers us is great. If you were to compare it with Reiki, although I don't like the comparison because I have the greatest love for Reiki, it just seems different. I think Reiki is more feminine and soft, and this one seems more coarse. It seems to get things done quicker for me personally, but that might not be the same for everybody, you know, and this might not be your modality. So it doesn't matter. If it works for you and you feel great, then great. But it really is a transformational, powerful force of energy. And the more people that get attuned to it, the more powerful it becomes, which is why I love to do it. I mean, I'm high as a kite again right now. Every time I do this, it makes me feel great. Okay, why do we need to experience separation? Because we don't know what separation is. We just come for the adventure. You know, you go back and you're going to be laughing with all your mates saying, "God, you remember when that happened?" Because we like to experience reality in all of. There's an infinite amount of different realities to experience, and separations is a great one because we don't know separation. We don't know anything related to separation. We're all one. That's why we queue up to have this experience. It's why we forget everything. But at this point in consciousness, our collective race is ready to realize that we're not separate. That's why it's so exciting. You know, I read a channeled book once that said, not long ago, it was maybe 10 years ago, that said there are queues of beings trying to get onto this planet right now. Queues, because we're about to move into an enlightened state. We really are. The next 10 to 20 years, there's going to be an enlightenment of consciousness here. Absolutely is. How to concentrate on positive energy present within oneself. You make the positive energy within yourself, okay? So if I was going to think positively, what would I think right now? If there was a positive way to think about this, what would it be? What would it be? You've got to remember that the questions you ask of yourself, and you're the only thing going on that you know of, right? So the questions you ask of yourself determine the answer your brain's going to give you. What's wrong with me? Your brain's going to give you a big long list, I promise you. Don't ask that question. Why can't I do this? What's the matter with me? Your brain will just answer. It's just a computer. So you've got to ask questions that are going to give you a positive answer. What's right with me? What's right with my life? Who loves me? Who do I love? No one. Don't say these things. You've got to ask positive. What can I do right now that makes me feel great? Who can I talk to that's going to make me feel great? What action can I take right now that's going to make me feel great? You've got to work and understand this thing. Don't let it just go on its own. You've got to become the master of this mental arena that talks to you all the time. You've got to really get to that place where you're understanding and you're directing what it says. But I have certain people who I live with and they don't wish well for me and do not receive my love yet. Is that a message of more inner work is required for me? Yeah, you know, if people are not respecting you, it's because you're not respecting you somewhere deep down. You've got to do the work to respect you. There's two options. Either you get out of that situation, which means you're respecting yourself by saying, I'm no longer going to put up with this. Or if you decide that's not the way, then you keep working on finding out, where am I not respecting me? Don't try and get the world to respect you, just respect yourself. And then the world will reflect that back at you. The world is your barometer. It's showing you exactly what's going on at the internal level, always. It's showing you clearly what is happening internally. Otherwise, it just wouldn't show up in your reality, okay? How to know what is my life's true purpose? You keep asking the question, what is my purpose? and you allow it to be what it is right now. Your purpose right now is to put more love into your system and to be as present as you can. You see, the more present I am, the more I can hear my heart, and that's where my purpose is hanging out. My heart is always beating right now. It cannot do anything other than that. So I need to align my attention with where I, the physical body, am going on. That's how you find your purpose, by bringing your attention to the moment, okay?